Welcome to Pieces of the Past. My name is Deborah. I have a passion for fiber arts and creating new things from old. Join me on my journey as I explore the endless possibilities, the tools, and the techniques to create new pieces of the past. Hello there and welcome. Today I want to show you a little bit about how to maintenance your machine. I had a question on one of my other videos about how I go about maintaining and keeping my machine clean and that kind of thing, and troubleshooting, that sort of thing. So I wanted to go into that today on this video. I'm going to show you two different machines. I'm going to show you my main machine, which is a side loading bobbin, and then at the very end we'll put a chapter marker in for you. I'm going to show you a top loading bobbin because machines are different in that way. Everything else on the machine is pretty much the same, so the way that you thread it and the bobbin and everything is pretty much the same. So maybe you'll get some tips from this on how to clean your own machine and you won't have to take it in for service as often. So let's do that. So the first thing that I want to show you is I keep a kit of screwdriver and brushes and things like that for just this purpose. Now, there's a lot of questions out there about how often do you service your machine. Some people say, oh, every time I change the bobbin, I service my machine, or every time I change a project, I service my machine. Well, those are good, and it just depends on how you work. I go through a lot of bobbins every day, so if I maintenance my machine, I would be doing it 2-3 times a day. So that if I did it on the bobbin schedule. If I did it on the project schedule, again, there's problems with that too. So I do mine probably every week, 2 weeks, depending on how much I've used it. You just kind of have to figure that out for yourself as to when to maintenance it. But you definitely need to get in there and get the lint cleaned out of it and service your machine. So the first thing we're going to do is you want to unthread your machine, get it completely unthreaded, and then you want to take off the parts. So the first thing is you would have this your machine unplugged because you don't want to sew through your fingers accidentally, but I'm going to plug it in just so you can see the light in here. Now I have a push button loading foot here, so I'm going to take the foot off. Basically we're going to disassemble it to an extent, and then we're going to clean it, and then we're going to put it all right back together. So I take my foot off, and then I want to get in here and take my needle out. Now when I maintenance my machine, I do throw away the needle and put a new one in. Needles are cheap enough that there's no reason to keep a needle that's dull, so it's just not worth the hassle. Okay, so I have the needle and the foot removed. And then I want to get in here and remove the screws off of my plate. You're not going to hurt anything by doing this. This is how you would remove a thread jam or something like that. So I want to get in here, and I usually loosen these a little bit with a screwdriver. And then I can get in here with my finger and just kind of go around in a circle, and the screw comes out. Now remember, this is a side loading machine for the bobbin. Okay, so when this comes off, you'll see the bobbin on the inside. Okay, so taking the faceplate off. Okay, ooh, look at all that lint. Okay, so I have this blower, and just like canned air, you know, it blows air, but we do not want to use that right now, because if you do that, all of the lint that's in here will be shot back into the gears and things, and it will just make more of a mess. So we want to use this only at the end for like dusting off the final part. Don't use this when you're first starting. Okay, so we've got the cover off, and the first thing I want to do is I want to remove all the lint that I can. So I have a little brush here that I got, and I will put a link if it's still sold. I don't know. Anyway, most people use pipe cleaners to do this part. You can also use Q-tips, which I'm going to use in just a minute. But I'll just go in here like this and remove the large bits of lint that I can. You know, get in all the crevices here. And it just picks that up. See all the little threads in there? And get some of that out of there. And get up in here. And so forth. Ooh. Put it on the floor and then vacuum later. And I also have a brush to clean my brush, which works great. So we're going to get up in here. We're going to clean all this out. Now, once you get the area that you're looking at, then you want to rotate the handle a little bit and clean right in here. Just any lint you see in there, just kind of get it cleaned out. And we're just going for the big pieces right now. Whoopsie, like that. Dust bunnies. And then after I get the big pieces out, I want to move to my Q-tips. So, and that's also in my little handy box here. Now, here's a tip. To clean anything on a sewing machine, don't use spray cleaners like Windex or anything like that. Just use sewing machine oil. Works great. Okay, put a little bit on a Q-tip and you can clean pretty much anything. You can take off stickers, you can do all kinds of stuff with sewing machine oil. It's kind of like WD-40, it just kind of cleans off everything. Okay, and then we want to get in here. Okay, one thing I didn't do that I need to do, sorry about that, I need to pull out my bobbin. Hello. There we go. Because we want to get up in here and clean out this bobbin case. Now, I will show you this more on the drop-in bobbin, but for our purposes here, this is your bobbin case. All right, that's what this is called. In here, you'll see this little thing going around. It looks like a pointy finger. I don't know if you can see that or not. That is called a hook. And then this whole assembly here is called the race. All right. And what's happening is when you're sewing, the thread's going down, the hook's catching it, putting it around the bobbin and coming back up. And it does that really fast over and over again. And it will form stitches that way. So that's just an extra thing that you might want to know. So I want to get in here and I want to clean this out really good. And really this is all I do is just clean out the lint. It really keeps me from having any major issues with my equipment whatsoever. Now your machine, if it's not this machine, will be different than mine. You will have different access points, different panels you can remove. All machines have the faceplate that you can remove. That's where you start. But there are other places that you can get into your machine. And I'll show you that before we go any further. This cover comes off just like that. Even better. So you can get in there, get another Q-tip. Sewing machine oil, put some on there. Ooh. Okay, and then I can get up in here and I can clean out this. You see how the lint just attracts to that Q-tip? Isn't that great? So we'll get up in there and we'll clean this out. This is why I use the blower last, because I get all this dust everywhere out here. And then blow it off. Okay, put this back together. Just like that. And then you also have this point up here on most machines where you change the light bulb. This rarely ever needs cleaning, at least for me. But I always check it just to make sure. Okay, so after we get all that done, Then we're going to oil the machine. So we want to take our oil, and you'll have to look at your manual for your machine on this part, because each machine has different places where you put in the oil. On this machine, it is in these spots up here, these holes. You see that? These holes. And this one over here. Now, there's some holes that have threads in them like you would screw a screw into. That's not where you put the oil. It's the ones that don't have the threads where you want to put the oil. So, and it just takes a couple drops. So just like 1, 2, maybe 3. 1, 2. Back over here. 1, 2. Okay, that oiled my whole gear system up here, and then there's a couple down here for the bottom part. That one and this one. All right. Then you want to take your oil. One more place you want to oil for sure, and that is the race. So you want to bring this around where the hook comes down, where you can see it, or where you can see the hook. I don't know if that's down or not, but where you can see the hook. And you just want to put a drop or two of oil in there, right there where they go against each other. All right. Now, don't sew an heirloom item right after you've done this. What you want to do is sew some scrap material, or actually what I do is I will do this without a needle, without thread or anything. I will just run it really fast. And that spreads the oil around in all the gears and everything. Gets it all oiled. Okay, so we've cleaned this. We've cleaned this and oiled it. Then we turn to the bobbin case. Now the bobbin case, two things. One is you clean it with a Q-tip. Super simple. All right. So we're going to clean out the bobbin case in here. Now, see that it has this flat thing in here. That's a spring. You just want to kind of clean out the lint. Now, the other place you want to do cleaning on this, and a lot of people forget this part, is this right here, this little piece of metal. That is your tension spring for your bobbin. You have a tension on the top thread and you have a tension on the bottom. You rarely ever change this tension. If you do, you just use a screwdriver to loosen or tighten it, but it is there. And the way I clean it is I take a business card and I put it, this towards me, in here. Okay, and see how it pushes that spring out, pushes it away, and I just slide it over. Make sure there's no little dust bunnies hiding in that spring. Just like that. That's it. So I always keep a business card in my cleaning kit over here. And that's it. It's clean. So then we will put it all back together and sew with it. This is the point at which I would clean off the outside and I would use the blower on it and that kind of thing. So to put it back together, where is the, oh, here it is. You just put your faceplate back on and screw it down. And that's it for the side loading one. Now we're going to move to the top loading one, and I will show you the differences. All you do on this is do exactly what you did when you took it apart. You just do it in reverse. Put it all back together. Put a new needle in it. Put the faceplate on. Put your presser foot back on, and you're good to go. Don't be afraid to take apart your machine, at least the obvious parts. These screws were made to be unscrewed and screwed back in for this purpose. One other place, that reminds me, one other place you can clean on this machine is your springs. So in here, can you get this? In here, this is your tension dial. Okay, all machines have this, right? If you reach up in here, you can actually pull these discs apart. There's just a spring in there. Can you see that? So a lot of times what I will do is take a Q-tip and loosen this up as much as I can. And then I will oil a Q-tip and get in there. Okay. I will pull this back and clean this inside, in between the two discs. That ensures that the thread doesn't get caught on anything in there, any little dust bunnies. There wasn't anything really in there. But that's helpful too. You don't have to do that every time, but if you remember, it's good to clean that out. Here's another one. Get in there and clean that out. There. Not much. And that's it. She's done. She's maintenanced and ready to go. Okay, so for the top loading bobbin, everything up here you clean the same way. You know, you have your arm and everything, it's all the same. So down here, this bobbin loads from the top instead of from the side. So there's a little bit of difference here. You want to take off the plate like you were going to put a new bobbin in, and you want to unscrew it, the two screws, just like I did on the other machine. Unscrew the faceplate. Again, you can get it just unscrewed a little bit, and then you can do it with your fingers. These screwdrivers, it's hard to get in here. I will put links to all the tools that I use to clean my stuff. All right, so two screws, same as the other one. This faceplate comes off, just like the other one. Okay. Here's your feed dogs. Here's your race assembly. The difference here is that this one actually comes out. So the first time you do this, it's kind of nerve-wracking, but it's made to be done. It's made to be taken out. Don't be scared. You reach in and you just pull this piece right here out. Okay? Completely out. And that way you can get up under it in here and clean out the lint. All right? And pay attention when you take it out as to how it goes in and out. All right? It just sits there. There's a little spring thing right here that this black, I don't know if you can see that knob or not, this little black knob, it hits that spring. So as long as you have it back in there seated like that, and you can make it bounce back and forth, then it's good. It's seated properly, okay? So you just take it out, clean it, and I need to clean in between the feed dogs here. So one place that I know that you oil on all these drop-in machines, or at least I do, is right here in the center, just below this piece, okay? You want to just put one drop right there, okay? And then put this thing back in here. Drop it in, make sure it sits properly. See, it's not crooked or anything, it's sitting there, and I can move it just a little bit like that. And that's it. And then you just put everything back together. Put the faceplate back on, screw it down, and then this goes back on here. And then you can put your needle and so forth on. I hope this helped you, and I hope that you will subscribe if you liked the video, and keep an eye out. This video came from someone in the comments that wanted to know more about servicing their machine, because I mentioned that I service mine. So leave me a comment. Tell me what you'd like to see in videos. That'd be great. I like corresponding with you on comments as well. So until next time, see you later.